All right, and we are live. Good morning, good afternoon, good day. My name is
Great
Clara
morning.
Lyons-DeVaughn. Great morning. My name is Clara Lyons-DeVaughn, and welcome to Financial Fridays. I am the broker owner of Lyonsview Realty, and our team provides residential, commercial for small businesses and nonprofits, and property management services. Coming soon, Lions View Academy. We do real estate pre-licensing and continuing education, credit counseling, and distressed homeowner solutions. And of course, lifestyle, health, wealth, and wellness education. So I launch Lions View Financial Fridays to help you stay current on those trends that impact your bottom line. Our goal is to provide you with resources, information, and tips to assist you in making the best financial decisions. And our commitment is to maximize your wealth building power now and in the future. So I'm so glad that you tuned in today. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Feel free to like and share this video. Don't hog it to yourself, share it with others. Our guests are here as a resource to you. So if you have any questions, put them in the comment section and we'll definitely get back to you. So, on our last previous broadcast, we talked about know your numbers. So, why do we keep focusing on money principles? Why? Because knowing your numbers is the beginning of your financial education. And your financial education is your path to wealth. So if you don't understand the power of money, then you can't put it to work for you. And it's hard to gain this knowledge. Schools don't teach it, families rarely talk about it, and Googling it can provide an overwhelming amount of information that can sound like it's written in another language. So you might wonder how a proper financial education leads one down the path to wealth. Well, having a money mindset is an important beginning. And I'm really excited because our guest today, I met her through the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, and she is a powerhouse in the New York area. Miss Janay Malloy is a real estate broker. She is a financial coach, and she helps people better understand financial fundamentals to make wiser choices to better manage and protect their money. And she empowers families to become more confident financially. So today we are going to chat a little bit about the value in having a money mindset. Thank you so much for joining me today. Welcome, Miss Malloy.
Well, thank you, Clara. I appreciate you greatly for having me. Can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you great.
Awesome. Great morning.
Good morning. So tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
I'm just amazing. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes, you are. You are definitely amazing.
I love having fun with people. My name is Janay Malloy. I'm a Brooklynite at heart, born and bred in the People's Republic of Brooklyn, as I like to call it.
All
uh,
right.
Raised by a single mom who tried to do all the things that Clara was just talking about, right? And try to keep me aware of money, aware of things, and not being fearful of it. But I grew up in a community the rest of the community didn't support that, right? That's community itself. Not they weren't intentionally not supporting it, but there just wasn't a structure to really help do that. She made some sacrifices and sent me to a private school, huge sacrifices, and there I met some great people. Went on to work in a really great environment where I learned to not in accounting and bookkeeping, where I learned not to be fearful of money.
Mhm.
I really did. I always tell people I went to how I got even there. I went to college and got in a ton of debt.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
like nobody
that's
told me
what a
about
lot
that
of us
stuff.
do. You know, when they give you that credit card, you're like, yes.
Listen,
I don't
Clara, they should throw a frisbee at you, right? Or a T-shirt. And if you got the frisbee a T-shirt, you can get to sign a credit card. I had like
yes.
20 T-shirts and frisbees.
Oh, 20 credit cards, lots of leverage.
I didn't know about leverage then. I wish I had. you know. But now I went on to, when I got in all that debt, I went on to, I reached out to everyone I knew and I said, hey, I'm in debt. I'm afraid to go home. My mother's going to kill me. And she called me and she called me at college and she said, they were sending the letters home to her. Right? When I couldn't pay those 20 credit card bills, they were calling her house. They weren't calling me at college. Exactly.
So she co-signed for you. Oh my
No,
goodness.
but she didn't co-sign. I just signed up for everything, but the number I gave them was her house number, not my college dorm number. So she would receive all the letters, she would receive all the calls, and she was like, "You're ruining your life. You haven't even gotten started yet." And she was 100%. And I just called everyone I knew.
That good thing about that is she was your accountability partner. She held you accountable for what you were doing. So that's a good thing.
Oh my God. Thank God she did. Right. Like I come from the old school. Like I'm scared of my mom. I don't know about anyone else. Right. Like I was freaking out. And she said, you better find a job and a solution to this before you come home. I called everyone and I said, hey, I'm looking for a job. And a friend of mine from high school said, I know you're in accounting, studying accounting. My friend is opening a bookkeeping firm. My godmother, first woman I ever saw as an entrepreneur, had started a real estate company. Wow. She said, why don't you come work for me, like helping manage the office, because I had a knack for that. And I literally worked from 8 a.m. like 3 doing accounting, and from like 4 to 10 doing real estate. And that's how I got into the industry.
Wow. That's actually pretty cool. So you got firsthand experience running the numbers.
Yeah. I wouldn't trade for anything.
And how did you like the real estate coach to the financial coach? How did that come about?
Well, that's interesting. I've always been even when I got into real estate, my godmother was great because she was always into community advocacy and community service. So I was always being like pulled along to some like a NARAB event. She was part of NARAB and another organization in Queens at that time. And I got into advocacy and education, and I would do HUD workshops and seminars after I finally got licensed. And after a while working in the accounting industry, I looked around after many years, especially after 2008, and realized that no one looked like me, the fields that I was working in the finance field particularly. No one looked like me. And after 2008, so many people were drowning in debt, drowning. They didn't have an A, nevertheless a plan B. And I looked at myself and said, people, you've given advice and people are counting on you to make a difference. And that's when I really got into financial coaching and real estate coaching and teaching people how to do it better, and teaching myself also how to do it better.
Indeed. And that's so important. So what does it mean to have a money mindset? Like, what is that?
That's a really great question. Like I said, where I grew up in the Crown Heights, Bedford-Stuyvesant area of Brooklyn, one of the toughest neighborhoods in Brooklyn. Well, now it's a multi-million-dollar neighborhood in Brooklyn. But when I grew up in the 70s and 80s, it wasn't. And we just didn't have. There wasn't examples of success. There wasn't examples of how to deal with money. There wasn't, you just know you work, you got a job. My parents told me, like so many people tell their kids, go to college, get a good education, or get a great job, right? And that's obviously not always true. But I did that. When I got out of college, I called my dad and I said, "Hey, Dad, I did it." No, when I got out of high school, I said, "I did it." He was like, "What?" I was like, I graduated. I'm ready. Where's the money?" And he was like, "What are you talking about?" I realized then, and as I began to go on and work in these great environments with very wealthy, a lot of entrepreneurs I began to work with when I worked in the accounting field, they were developing businesses, and the conversations I would have at work and the conversation I would have at home amongst my peers, my neighborhood was different. The mindset, how they thought about money and how they thought about their position in life was just different. Not to say they just thought differently. They thought like they would start a business. Like someone would come up with an idea and they'd be like, "Oh, let's just start an LLC." And I was like, "What? You just started a business?" Yeah, like that. This is like that. Like, and then they would call up friends and say, "Hey, we want to start something." And they would just get together and create things, create businesses. And I was like, whoa. and then sometimes it would fail. They'd just be like, okay. And I figured out that for people, 95% of this country, money is elusive to us.
Yeah.
Right? So our mindset around it is like this love-hate thing we got with it. It's like
Right.
we love it when we have it, but when it's not there, oh man. And when someone's calling us for it, oh gosh, we're like in another world altogether. Right?
Right.
I think it's about reframing how we think about money, and our relationship with money is huge, right? Like how our mindset and our affections attached to money. Um, as a single woman, I've been in this dating world lately, and I discovered that in the midst of dating, that it's in this dating world. I'm not saying I'm doing all this dating; it's COVID, right? But in the midst of this dating world and talking with my single friends, I realized there's this like there's this interesting way that we connect with humans and the way we connect with money,
Mm.
and
Is
how
there
we
a
think.
similarity?
It really is. Like I believe that we find sometimes relationships to be elusive, right? Like we can't quite get to what we want. Like let's say if you're dating someone, like you like it when you go out, you're liking this person, it feels great. Oh, you love it when you're together. And when you're not together, it's like, oh, you're pining for them, right? And I think money is like that too, right? When you have it, you enjoy it, you appreciate it, but when you don't have it, it's like it's hurtful, right? It's painful. And so yeah, it becomes elusive. But also what I realize is that even in relationships, with a spouse type of situation, everything just starts with looking within, Clara,
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah.
We gotta
Yeah.
we gotta
You have to start with the basics. On the last broadcast, we were talking about knowing your numbers, and it's so simple, what you bring in, what you got going out. Just being conscious and aware of where you are in the moment in your situation, so you know what your building blocks are to move forward. So, like you talk about dating people, you're dating your money. You want to
totally
know,
every day, all day.
yeah, every day. You want to know what that
Every day,
relationship
all day.
is, and not from the esoterical perspective, but from the concrete perspective, where you can say, "Oh, I know this to be true, and based on that, I can make certain decisions." So, would you say like there's a certain foundation, there's certain
Yeah, there's some very certain, what I like to call some very basic pillars, right?
yeah,
Of
the pillar, yeah,
a financial foundation. I always think about it, it's like kind of like building a house, right? You have to have a solid foundation, and that's in anything, right? So, like,
yeah,
understanding, like you just said, learning your numbers. Most people have no idea. They know what comes in every 2 weeks, but they have no idea what's going out, right? So, really
yes,
taking stock of that. When I meet with clients, we go through a very detailed accounting of where their money goes, and they don't even they know like the rent, the light bill, the gas bill, but like there's different things. Like, what are the allowances you give to your kids? What are you spending on, going out to eat? How much you spending when you go out, you buy stuff in the morning, right? Going out to the grocery or whatever. And all this, now we're not eating out anymore. We're eating in. So like all this, Uber Eats and delivery services, how much is that stuff really costing you? So we take a look at that. And it's an interesting thing. I always tell people, I'm not, look at stuff like things that people, regular advisors don't think about, or coaches don't think about. Look at like, I deal with a large community that's first generation, second generation Americans are living here, right? And when they come from other countries, sometimes you have family there. You don't look at how much money you send back home, school, maybe your
yeah,
kids are there. So we take a look at that. We want to help people create what we call, an emergency fund, meaning, right, I just call the fund, because you never know. It could be the fun or the not so fun, right? So we take a look at creating that. 3 to 6 months, 8 months, maybe longer, because people don't really take that into stock. I believe a lot of people we wouldn't have as much issues around this being stuck in the house with COVID if more people had more savings. They feel a little bit more secure staying home from work. You know what I mean? Not rushing to get back out there to provide for their families. Also, credit card debt. They said the average household has over like $10,000 at minimum in credit card debt. Not even student loan debt, just revolving credit card debt. So we hope people get on track, stay on track with that. Creating everything around proper protections and creating legacy. We talk about all types of insurances, disability, life insurance, which most people have no idea, don't understand, are greatly underinsured. And they don't know how that can create legacy and ways to live it, use it when you're here. Also, create assets, right? Whether it's, everybody's so fired up this week about the stock market, right? What's happening there. But we show people how to do that correctly, right? Gaining wealth, gaining assets, how to obviously invest in real estate, Clara, right? Whether it's in your first home yourself, or I'm a huge advocate of investment real estate. People to buy in real estate that gives them, some rent rolls, some money, so maybe a part of their retirement or their whole retirement. How do we do that? Multifamily is, I'm huge with that. I actually teach a whole course on it, and we teach people how to go out and purchase multi-unit property, and also protecting their retirement, making sure that's stable, and creating legacy. That's huge, Clara. Like that, creating legacy for the next generation, planning your estate, making sure you have a will, making sure you have a trust. In most communities right now, we're going to have a huge struggle with that over the next year or so. Just the fallout from COVID and how many people have passed away and just didn't prepare with their families. So I would suggest that people, listen, get a will, get a trust, find out what's actually necessary, and do it correctly. It's huge. Those things are priceless.
Yeah, you talked about a lot of different pillars. So one of the pillars you talked about was the budgeting pillar, which is just the basics, knowing what your numbers are. You talked about another pillar, which is debt management. How much have you loaned out, or committed yourself to financially to other people, whether it be credit card debt or whether it be housing, mortgage debt, car debt, which is a big one. We were saying, get your house before you get that car.
That's so huge. That, Clara, I've always driven a secondhand car. Like I've never owned a first off the lot car. I don't know if I ever will, but and that is huge. It's easier to get a car loan than it is to get a business loan to grow and build wealth. You know that? Isn't that crazy?
Right. It is.
Like you can get a debt so easily.
Yeah, crazy. Debt management is just like super, super huge. That's an area where you can definitely see some savings, which is that next pillar, savings. You talked about having an emergency fund at least for 6 months, but if you can't do 2, then do 3, then do 4, build up to
start.
Start somewhere.
I was told by a very wise woman that small drops of water make a mighty ocean.
Small ducks of water.
Small drops of water create a mighty ocean.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We don't realize that if you just start saving a dime a day, I don't care what it is, just $1, 50 cents to change out of your pocket. And I always encourage people to look up what's called an amortized penny or a doubling penny. It shows the power of your pennies. Like when you leave your penny at the store and you don't collect it, if you ever look that up on Google it, you'll never again not collect your penny.
So
savings is huge.
Yes, all your pennies. There's an app too that takes your change and saves it for you. I don't remember the name of the app, but it just does it for you automatically. And we talked about in Know Your Numbers, tithe 10, save 10, live on 80% or less if you can. Because once you put it away, you don't miss it. We waste a lot of money, but savings is so important. And then you talked about another pillar being proper protections, insurances. We've done broadcasts on insurance and the different types of insurance. Go back and watch the video on that. Oh my God, because insurance is huge, not just for proper protection, but it can pay you in the future as well. So there's just a lot of ways.
I just had a client. We set up a plan for her quite a few years ago, and she called me and she's like, "Hey, what about, she's like, hey, that thing I got." I was like, "Yeah, the thing you got." Right. And she goes, I want to buy a house. And we were able to draw quite a bit of funds out there for her to put down as her down payment on her home. That was awesome.
Wow. Wow.
Like,
And
and
people
she was
don't
like, you, and like, she said, you always told me this, but I was just like, okay, whatever Janay says. She just,
I like
but
that.
now
Whatever
it's
Janae says, I like that. That's a nice phrase. Whatever Janae says,
like
you
it too.
know. Yeah, because people have to trust that their money can work for them in different ways. And, you being a financial coach and a financial advisor, you can tell people things that they don't know about, how to leverage, their
Yeah,
money through insurances, those proper protections and the asset gathering, the legacy creation, wills, trusts, power of attorneys, the
so
documents that
huge.
you need to have in place. Yeah, like who's going to speak for you when you can't speak for yourself? And you don't have to be dead. You could just be incapacitated. You could be in the hospital with COVID. People can't come in and say, do this, do this. Who has the right to speak for you in those situations? So all of those are part of your financial pillars. They're holding you up, in this financial world. So like you give this advice. What's the difference between like a financial coach and a financial advisor? And what types of things do you share with people? What do you do for them?
Well, for me, one of the main differences, I call myself a financial coach. And that's typically because I believe that I get in the game with you, right? Like I'm in the game with my clients forever. Sometimes we just start out talking about, I believe your financial picture is holistic, right?
Mhm.
You have to take into account everything in someone's life. And I don't think that most advisors really do that. Like it's just whatever the product or service is that they have inside of their institution. And because of my real estate background and my accounting background and the ability being in community, like I love being in community. So I think I have a more my ear to the grindstone, as they say. Like I listen to the people, and I want to because I'm one of the people, so I listen to people. So I really
That's
look at it
important.
like I'm in the game with you. I did a closing the other day with my client, and we went through and she got there because we went through a whole financial plan with her. She got to the point where she wanted to purchase a home, and as we're leaving in the parking lot, she's like, "What day are you coming for dinner in a new house?" Right? And I'm just like, any day you ready. I was like, I'm ready for dinner any day of the week. And I think that's just the difference. Creating great relationships, being in the game with people. A coach is in on the sidelines with you. He's not in the stands. He's running up and down the sidelines with you when there's a game. He or she, right? Making sure that you're doing the right thing, calling plays, keeping it with you, making sure that you win. That's my goal, to make sure people that work with me that they win. That's
Yeah,
it.
and that's it. That's important because those pillars are, those are just the basis of like holding you up. And
Mhm.
why is it important for people to know the relationship between the financial pillars and their wealth journey? Like, what's important about that mindset?
The importance about that mindset is understanding that that journey is about looking within, right? That
Okay.
entire journey and your mindset is about understanding your personal development around money, relationship around money. How do you think about it? Do you think, like I was saying earlier, do you think it's elusive, that you can't have it? When it's gone, you miss it? Are you, like, in any relationship, looking back and saying, what can I do better? How can I get better? Right? Because when you do better and you think better and you recondition your mind to understand that, number one, you're deserving of it. I'm a Christian, so I know that it's been promised to me, right? So I know that it's there for me. And if when you get yourself in that space, right? Yeah, you got to
Yeah.
pull those blessings down every day. I said, thank you for what you're sending me. When you believe that in your head, like, you are convicted by it. Like, I'm convicted by that. I'm convicted by that for my clients. So that's a mindset that I have, and I speak affirmations. And it's important for people to learn how to speak affirmative things into their life, that they're deserving of money. Like, oh God, money don't grow on trees, right? No, it grows in my mind and in the universe. It's just waiting for me to pull it into my bank account.
Woo! All right.
Right?
Say that
So
again. Say
I
that
said it
again. I
grows in my
love it.
mind, and then the universe is just waiting for me to pull it all into my bank account. That's it. So you got to learn how to do that. We got to have self-discovery. Sit down. That's why it's related to relationships, because relationships the same way, right? If you want a good relationship, start with you. Start thinking about you, what you think about, how you feel, right? The other money is not that important. You are what's important. If you can get your head wrapped around how you feel and how you think about it, and not thinking about money as a scarcity item, that's something that's actually in the universe that's created for you and it will be there. Start thinking about ideas how to create it, how to be more lucrative with it, how not to be scared of it, how not to be scared of losing it. People in relationships, they're scared of losing relationships. So they do crazy things or they act frantic, right? So don't be frantic about it. Think and dream and discover how to do better with it. Read. There are a ton of great books. I love the book Think and Grow Rich. I'm in a book club. I probably read it for the 10th time, right? I'm in a book club right now. We're reading that. Like, we're all over it's interesting. We're all over the book, but Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill is a good way. It talks about mindset of the wealthy. It'll help you change some direction, I think. And yeah, self-development is huge. I'm a big advocate of self-development. I'm a big advocate of affirmations, speaking goodness to yourself, to you, your family, your kids. Don't condemn people, don't criticize, because all of that stuff, even though it goes out, it's always reflected back in. Just change your mindset about things. Read. That's huge. You gotta just read different things. Look up motivate. If you don't know how to do anything, look up a motivational speaker on TV, online. That's it. Google that.
Yeah. YouTube
Motivation
is
around money. That's it. Google that.
yes. What is it? YouTube is such a great resource. Like, you don't have to have money, but you can, like you said, knowledge is power, and knowledge can get you the things that you want. And so trusting yourself, loving yourself enough to pay attention and be conscious about the decisions that you're making around your money, the decisions that you're making for yourself and for your family. All of that is so important. And there's another book. What is it called? The Something of Babylon. You know the book I'm talking about? It's a little book. It's
Yes,
short.
it's the greatest man. I do know it. It's escaping me.
Yeah.
The greatest man of
Yeah.
Babylon, the wealthiest. I can't. It's yeah,
The Wealthiest Man in Babylon.
the
Is that
wealthiest man
it?
of
Yeah.
Babylon. I think that's. I
The
can't. But
Wealthiest
yeah,
Man in
I've read it.
Babylon. Yes, I would so recommend that book because it talks about these pillars. It talks about the fundamentals of a money mindset and what you need to do to start that path, not only to just growing your bank account, but to growing your wealth over generations so you can leave a legacy. You can have a legacy of leaving something to those people in your family or those people in your community, to self, to family, to community, to the world. Like, that's real wealth. We had a speaker on, and I was saying, what was the difference between wealth and money? What would you say is the difference between wealth and money?
I would say it's exactly what you just described, right? The difference between wealth and money is that wealth actually lasts longer. Wealth is creating legacy. Wealth is when it's no longer about you, but when it's about community, when it's about family, when it's about creating that legacy. And again, when there's wealth, there's no the fear of money or about money does not exist. I always say wealthy people don't really have money problems. They just got situations. They got issues that they can deal with, right? And they just look and they don't worry about the money. They just look for the solution. You're wealthy. You're just like, okay, what's the solution? They're not okay. How do we deal with that? It's not like, oh my God, we're freaking out. No, it's just like, okay, well, what do we do? Right? Because the wealth allows you to think differently and to emotionalize things differently. I think it's huge. You don't connect in that fear mode and frantic and chaos, more just solution oriented. And it's something I've discovered with my clients. Literally run the gamut from, I tell anyone, my day literally looks like this. I'll be talking with top attorneys in New York giving a workshop, right, in Midtown, Fifth Avenue in the morning, and then in the evening I can be in like East New York, Brownsville, Brooklyn, which is low income, low to moderate income, and I could be talking to single moms in a church, right? My conversation never changes because the fundamentals are the fundamentals.
Indeed, indeed. This has been really, really, really great. I've gotten a lot, the pillars, budget, debt management, savings, proper protections, asset gathering, legacy creation. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Knowing yourself, you know, being um I guess just being confident that you can have the wealth, keep the drops because the drops add up to the ocean. I love that. Love that. Really
Absolutely.
great. Yeah. So tell people about, your services, what you provide for people and what you've got coming up and how people can get in contact with you.
Excellent. So what do I do? I'm a real estate and financial coach. So my goal is to help everyone that I meet and that wants to obtain and maintain wealth for generations to come. So we do that by doing a simple intake, and the process is free 99, but it's priceless. So you can actually get a half an hour consultation with me and or my team. We sit down and literally work through those 6 pillars with you. And if you decide, and then you can take that information and go off and do amazing things with it. If you need our assistance in pushing things forward, then we're here to help from there on. So definitely reach out to me and just say, hey, I would love to do a half an hour personalized, what I like to call financial checkup. We got to check in, like you check in with a doctor, got to check in financially with you, right? So we do that. And when we focus on helping people also obtain real estate, like creating that financial wealth that you can pass on for generations to come. You can reach me. I'm Janay Malloy on all platforms, JANAY on IG, Facebook, Twitter. That's where you'll find me.
Okay. Awesome.
And
Awesome.
I have a
Awesome.
client coming up. Actually, we're in one now, but starting in March. You can actually log on. We have a wealth creation course where we walk you through all these pillars on your way to investment income, teaching you how to create investment income, and we're putting in our stock class as well. So you'll be able to learn how to like evaluate a property, whether it's the fix and flip, whether it's a hold, whatever you want to do. We walk you through the process and we coach you through the process, so you're never left alone. We have property managers that handle that. So we do it all. And there's several places across the nation. Right now, we're headed to Detroit in a couple weeks, looking at the property in Detroit. Yeah, great opportunities out there. So we're doing a trip to Detroit, socially distanced. We're abiding by all rules and regulations. And we've delayed it a couple of times, but now we think it's a time. So we're going to head out to Detroit and tour some properties. We're going to be investing. We have a team. They're going to be investing. Some of our students are going to be investing. So we're excited.
I'm excited for you. I'm really excited about that because I tell people all the time, buy where you can afford. You may not be. I'm from California. Things are so expensive, and I tell my California folks, buy in New Jersey. It's more affordable. Or buy in
Yeah.
Michigan or buy in Mississippi.
Yeah, it's
Buy
a
where
fraction
you
of the
can.
cost. I live in New
Yeah.
York. Tell me about affordability. Forget about it. New
The
York
million
is a
dollar real
beautiful.
estate folk.
Yeah, New York is a beautiful place, and trust me, there are some great deals to be had here. But can you get more space, more for your money, and create a great income in another state? Absolutely,
Oh
especially
yeah.
if you have trustworthy people in that state that can help manage that property for you. That's huge. So people fear investing in other places because they can't get to it. But if you have trustworthy people, we have a whole team, like literally part of our team has moved out to Detroit already. We're already set up with our property management, everything. So construction, the whole 9 yards.
Awesome.
I
Awesome.
encourage that. Buy where you can afford. Own a piece of this country. God's not making any more.
That's right.
Well,
That's
own a
right.
good country. Own something.
Right. And that's a mindset. That's a mindset. That's a money mindset. Own something
Absolutely.
somewhere. Doesn't matter where it is. And you don't have to live in it. Real estate is definitely an investment in
Mhm.
yourself, an investment for your family, your community, and in the future. So
Truth.
yes, it all keeps going up. And I want to say one last thing on the real estate tip. Folks are deferring, and Janae and I were talking about this offline. but folks are deferring their real estate purchase because it's tough right now. There's not a lot of inventory. People are getting outbid on properties. But 3 months from now, it's going to be more expensive. And what you could afford to buy today, you will not be able to afford to buy in 2 months or in 3 months or in 6 months or a year from now. That same exact property with that same, not so cute kitchen, but it's functional, did a whole video on that. Buy functionality. Don't buy wants and desires, because you put your wants and desires on that functionality. That frame is the frame. You can dress it up, you can accessorize it and embellish it any way you want to.
And that's
right?
so much easier.
It's so much easier. The neighborhood, you can't change the neighborhood. You can't change the bones or the outlay of the house without major construction. So that's what you're buying. Buy what you can afford that meets your needs now. Because this time next year, that same exact property is going to be more money, and it may be out of your price range at that time. So I just want to thank you, because what you're up to is phenomenal. I just have so much respect for you, and I appreciate you coming on to Financial Fridays today. This has been great. If you want to get into financial planning, if you want to invest now and for your future, reach out to Miss Janay. She is phenomenal.
Clara, I do want to say that we just started here in Queens. I do a lot of business in Queens. We just started the NAREB chapter here in Queens. I'm the president of the 2021 president for NAREB, focusing on democracy and housing and increasing Black home ownership, right? So huge for us here. We've been attempting to do that for so long. We're glad we got it actually started. You did mention, so I do actually, and I actually train and develop people who want to get into my industry, both on the finance side and on the real estate side. Awesome. If you're looking for a change of career,
Yes. New York, New Jersey, you got it. It's all good. And it's all up. In the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, we have professionals called realtists across the nation. And, we can hook you up. It's about having a network. It definitely is about having a network.
Always.
Yes. And working together, so we can all grow and build together. So I'm excited.
Me too. Claire, I wake up excited. I'm just excited. I think God is good. I wake up excited.
God is so good. He is so good. He is so good. Yes. I just want to thank everybody. I want to thank Miss Janay for being with us. I want to thank those of you who are watching today. If you're watching the replay, thank you. Financial Fridays is here to provide you with resources, information, and tips and trends that affect your bottom line. And we hope that you receive something of value today. As always, want to send love and light out to those who have lost loved ones. For those who have anyone in the hospital for whatever reason, if you are challenged or impacted by the physical distancing, love and light out to you, and especially to our essential employees, those people who are doing healthcare, food, fire, police, and especially our leadership. So we just want to encourage everyone, take care of yourself, take care of your family, and stay safe. My name is Clara Lyons-DeVaughn. Financial Fridays streams on YouTube and Facebook. You can join us again next Friday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, keep living your best life. Thank you again, Miss Janay. Love you.
Thank you. Love you too.